Hello and a very warm welcome to yet another interesting edition of the program CAC Weekly, a weekly program that keeps you abreast on the activities and achievements of the Corporate Affairs Commission. My name is Miriam Abdul-Rashid. Coming up on the program, CAC wins PEBEC Awards. Federal government applauds CAC for championing FG's free registration of 250,000 business names. Plus, business rescue mechanism under focus. We'll be right back. Do stay with us.
Database, and in the course of that, a lot of companies in the past have not been filing their returns. And because before now, we are operating a semi-automated system, we had a situation where new registration services were carried out electronically, while post-registrations were done manually. And there was no system in place before now where such changes are reflected, where the database is updated, immediately these filings are made. So we have some gaps between the physical records, in some cases, and the electronic records. But because of the sheer size of these records, if we start from company number one to the last, that is not feasible. So we decided to focus on companies that are active and those that request for update to be made on their records. And we have made this known to the public that, look, don't wait until you have a transaction to do with CAC. Send an email to a designated email address for us to update your record. We'll pull out the physical file and update so that when you come to do any transaction subsequently, you will have a seamless experience. We have close to 5 million entities, companies, business names, and incorporated trustees. And we've now added limited partnerships and limited liability partnerships. You can imagine if we are going to pull out every file, it will be impossible to do that. So the companies you may be referring to are companies that have not actually requested for update. But we can have a list of these companies.
Welcome back. We begin with yet another milestone achievement for the CAC. The Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, has won the Legislative Award for the Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAMA 2020, at the 5th PEBEC Awards. Held at the State House Conference Hall, the award is in recognition of CAC's immense contribution and support towards the ease of doing business reform intervention of the federal government. Speaking to newsmen shortly after receiving the award, the Registrar General, CEO of the CAC, Alhaji Garba Abubakar, thanked the federal government for the honor and said that it would serve as motivation for him and the Commission as a whole to continue to improve its procedures for the benefit of the business environment. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, SAN, who is the chairman of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, was the special guest of honor at the event, which was also attended by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, Jigawa State Governor Mohammed Badaru Abubakar, and his Sokoto State counterpart, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Other dignitaries at the occasion include the Ministers of Finance, Zainab Ahmed Shamsuna, Industry, Trade and Investment, Otumba Niyi Adibayo, Minister of Works, Babatunde Raji Fashola, and Head of Service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemi Eson. CAC Weekly recalls that the Commission, under the leadership of Alhaji Garba Abubakar, commenced the implementation of the CAMA 2020 on January 3, 2021, giving customers and the general public the opportunity to conduct end-to-end electronic transactions with the Commission via the company's registration portal, CRP. During the event, our very own Tolulokpe Shonaike, Assistant Director, RG's office, was presented with a PEBEC Special Recognition Certificate for his role as Reform Champion for CAC. The PEBEC Awards, which are the last for the Buhari administration, were preceded by a special pre-event tagged the PEBEC Experience, showcasing its 7-year journey. Wow! Congratulations to CAC, Keep up the good work. Moving on to another plus for the CAC as it continues to set the pace. The Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, has received praise from the federal government for creating a veritable platform that allowed for the free registration of 250,000 business names as part of the COVID-19 Survival Fund. As he honored each of the 14 partners who have helped build the National MSMEs Secretariat, Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo made the statement at the presidential villa. The Commission's positive impact during the National MSMEs Clinic, National MSMEs Awards Night, as well as the commissioning of the shared facilities in some states of the Federation since the beginning of the National MSMEs program in 2016 were applauded. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo noted that the current administration would not have achieved success with the program without the continued support, sacrifice, and efforts of all its partners. Reacting to the commendation, the Registrar General, CEO of the Corporate Affairs Commission, Alhaji Garba Abubakar, thanked the federal government for the recognition as well as its support and cooperation with the CAC. He therefore pledged to continue to work hard and initiate more reforms for the benefit of the business environment in the country. Alhaji Garba Abubakar was represented at the occasion by Mohammed Habib of the Intergovernmental Unit. CAC Weekly reports that other members of the National MSME Secretariat honored at the event include Federal Inland Revenue Services, FIRS, Standard Organization of Nigeria, SON, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC, and the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA. Other honorees include the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, Bank of Industry, BOI, and Development Bank of Nigeria, DBN. Meanwhile, the Registrar General has described as unprecedented the performance of Mohammed Habib, CAC MSMEs Clinic representatives, which earned him a letter of commendation by the Office of the Vice President. CAC Weekly reports that the VP's commendation noted with satisfaction his commitment towards the success of the micro, small, and medium enterprises MSMEs clinics. The Registrar General therefore rejoiced with the staff for making the Commission proud and urged him to sustain the tempo. Kudos to the CAC under the able leadership of Alhaji Garba Abubakar. And now, moving on to details of CAMA 2020, alias the Game Changer. Among the many innovations in the Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAMA 2020 is the provision for company rescue. That provision allows for, amongst many other things, the takeover of ailing companies by administrators to repay their creditors, sustain the business, avoid job losses, and avoid many other changes that may befall the company if allowed to crumble. Now let's go to our interview segment with Mr. Justin Nidia Birao, Director Compliance, for more.
Mr. Nidia Justin Birao, Director Compliance, CAC, many thanks for joining us on the program again.
Thank you for having me one more time.
All right. Today we'll be looking at business rescue mechanism. I know we've done something on that during the insolvency, when we had the insolvency discussion. So today is a change. Is it a change of name?
Not really. They are just alternative descriptions.
Okay, alternative descriptions. Okay.
Yeah.
I know it's straightforward, but just tell us, what's the thinking behind it?
Well, before now, it was observed over a long period that most of the insolvency regimes led to the death of companies, sometimes premature death. So there was the thinking that there was need for what is called a paradigm shift that will give the companies some opportunity to bounce back to life instead of premature liquidation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we understand that they have 3 components?
Yeah, there are 3 alternative components of the business rescue mechanisms, or otherwise also called alternative insolvency regimes.
Okay.
So first of all, we have what is called the company voluntary arrangement. Then we have the company administration. And the last but not the least is what we call netting.
Okay. Help us understand what each means before we delve into the concentration for today, which is the voluntary arrangement, the company voluntary arrangement.
Well, both of them are supposed to give corporate practitioners alternatives as to the method they will choose to come out of what is considered a temporary operational problems.
Okay.
Yes, both of them have different requirements and
that's the company voluntary arrangement and the company administration.
Yeah, they have different requirements and they have different operational procedures.
Okay, so talk us through those differences.
But basically, what we will note from the onset is that for netting, for instance, is a regime or a procedure that is highly recommended for only practitioners in the financial sector.
Okay.
Yes. Then the other 2 is available for what is called general corporate practitioners.
Okay.
To include both specific sectors or what is called also the general company operations.
Okay. Let's go to the company voluntary arrangement in details itself. What is it all about?
Well, company voluntary arrangement basically is what is described as a proposal of a company for repayment of debt.
Okay.
In its simplest term, that's it. It is a scheme for repayment of
debt
of the company. So, and usually it is invoked by company directors.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
So when they see the signal that they are going bankrupt.
Not bankrupt as such. When they see that they are not able to pay their debt as and when due, they can apply for that company voluntary arrangement.
What is the period for application?
Well, there is no period specified.
Okay.
But it is recommended that once the directors notice that they are not meeting up their obligations as and when due, then it is advised that rather than allow for operations to go on and the relationship between creditors and the company becomes strained, it is better that they invoke the procedure, at least to build confidence between the company and its directors.
Okay. In a country where people are running away from stigmatization, financial stigmatization, so even if they see that they cannot meet up with their debt obligation, they rather go quietly than invoke a voluntary arrangement to pay debt.
Well, that is the need for a program like this.
To enlighten people.
To enlighten people that actually there is nothing wrong in invoking the procedure.
Okay.
And it does not necessarily mean that somebody has gone bankrupt before you invoke the strategy for company voluntary arrangement. Rather, there would be a preference that people should look at it as one of
business
strategy rather than an admission of a failure.
Okay.
Yes.
In the course of the discussion, we'll come to how is it practiced in other clients. But let's look at the procedure. What is the procedure like?
Well, the procedure is like we said, once the directors notice that there is a challenge in meeting up with their debt payment obligations, then they...
But let me jump in here. Do all companies inquire debt?
Well, it's optional, But in business, business loan is recognized as one of the alternative means of funding.
Okay.
And sometimes it could even be cheaper than asking the shareholders
To source for funds.
to source for funds.
Okay, so we can take a loan and operate our business.
You can take a loan and operate your business, and as you sell, you service the debt and eventually pay the debt.
Oh, okay. So still on the procedure.
Yeah, okay. Well, the procedure we have noticed is that once the directors notice that they are unable to service their debt as and when due.
Do they call for a meeting?
Well, directors normally in the course of managing a business are required to meet regularly.
Okay.
They are the one that specifies the time within which they meet. But as part of company management process, directors are required to meet regularly.
Okay.
So it is envisaged that once the directors notice that they have debt repayment obligation, they prepare what is called a proposal.
Okay.
Or a scheme for repayment of the loan.
Okay.
And that is what we call technically the proposal for scheme of arrangement.
Okay.
Yes. And in that proposal, they are required to appoint a nominee.
Within themselves or an outsider?
No. The nominee, by requirement of the law, is required to be an insolvency practitioner, as defined under Companies and Allied Matters Act. So once they are able to identify the nominee, they will notify him of the intention to appoint him as a nominee.
Okay.
To administer the proposal for repayment of debt. And they will now forward the proposal for the repayment of the debt to the nominee. The nominee is required to evaluate the proposal to see whether it has the prospect of
repaying the debt,
of success, of succeeding.
Okay.
He is required to form an opinion as to whether the proposal will succeed, or in other words, whether it will work.
So he will check all the parameters?
He will check. They are required normally to give him a schedule of the assets and liabilities of the companies.
Okay.
So from the assets and liabilities, he will be able to form an opinion as to whether the proposal is likely to succeed.
Okay.
And once he receives the notification, he is required within 28 days to decide as to whether he will call for a meeting
or not.
A meeting of the company and the creditors.
Okay.
To separately consider the proposal
okay.
for the repayment of the debt. But that he has to do after forming an opinion that the proposal is likely to succeed.
Okay.
He will now inform the court that...
they have to go to the court?
Not go to the court as such, just notify the court within 28 days that he needs to call a meeting of the company and the creditors to consider the proposal.
Okay.
So once the company and the creditors consider the approval, they are required to pass a resolution on each, either approving or not approving the proposal. So if both the company and the creditors approve
the proposal,
then it is deemed that the voluntary arrangement has commenced.
Okay.
And the nominee will now be described as supervisor of the voluntary arrangement instead of the nominee that he was at the beginning.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So his basic responsibility is to ensure that the company adheres to the repayment plan that they submitted to him.
Okay. So there is no way the company will backtrack in the course of implementation?
In the course of implementation,
Yes.
it is not a research.
Okay, in the proposal itself.
Because the proposal is prepared by the company.
Okay.
It is assumed that they must have ascertained their strengths and weaknesses before they prepare this thing. So it's not expected that the company would be the one to default from the repayment plan that they have submitted to this proviso of voluntary arrangement.
Okay. Okay. I know all of this invention or reforms is under KAMA 2020. Now, since the implementation, how many insolvency practitioners do we have today? Because it's a new era. I remember when we discussed about it 2 years ago, you said a lot of people will be trained in that regard. So how many do we have today? Do we have a large number? Or still an area people don't want to delve into?
No.
It looks very lucrative.
For insolvency practitioners, we say that the response has been actually very encouraging.
Okay.
Quite a large number of chartered accountants, chartered secretaries, and legal practitioners have registered or got accredited to practice as insolvency practitioners.
Okay.
So we don't have a challenge
with that.
With the insolvency practitioners.
Okay.
At all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go to the benefits and the impacts on the economy. Since we said it's a business strategy, it doesn't mean that the collapse of a business is the end of everything. But isn't it the end of everything in this part of the country?
Well, like we said, the idea behind the alternative insolvency regime, or what we now call business rescue mechanisms, for company voluntary arrangement in particular, is that instead of the company going down or being liquidated, the company is given what is called a second chance to bounce back to life. And the advantages are that, one, first of all, the owners of the company do not lose their investment. Then the directors also are not thrown into into the labor market. Ditto the workers of.
But when they finish paying the debt, won't they be thrown into the labor market?
No, it is
they'll just continue.
It is expected that after repayment of the debt, the business of the company continues.
Oh, okay.
So you will save employment, you will save investment, and you will also contribute to the gross domestic product, because the company will still be in production to produce goods and services that will be desired by the economy. So in every other situation, it is envisaged that it's a win-win for everybody.
Okay. And you also help prevent some health issues that will arise.
Oh, yes. Particularly hypertension.
Yeah, that's where I was coming to.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Ndia Justin Barrow, we must have to leave it here. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for your time as always.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah.
Great insights there from Justin. And that does it for this week's edition of the program, CAC Weekly. We hope you enjoyed watching. For comments and inquiries, please take advantage of our social media handles and our helpline. On Twitter, it is CAC Nigeria 1. On Instagram and Facebook, it is Corporate Affairs Commission. Our email is cservice@cac.gov.ng. Our website is www.cac.gov.ng. And our helpline 070-806-29000. Do join us next week for another interesting edition of the program. Same time, same station. From me, Miriam Abdurrashid, and the entire team here, it's bye for now.